It's Thursday, July 7th, and this is now on H&N.
I want you to know how sad I am to be giving up.
British Prime Minister Boris Johnson is out. I'm Ian Lee with the fallout after his resignation.
Well, we're all pretty shocked, honestly.
A grieving family awaits answers after a brush fire uncovers their loved one's remains.
Can't even fathom how this happened.
Our new poll reveals nearly half of Democratic primary voters are undecided in the race for lieutenant governor.
These stories plus act fast. A $29 inter-island flight deal is about to end. We've got the details coming up on This Is Now. Good afternoon. Thank you for watching This Is Now. You got Jonathan and Ashley right here in the H&N Digital Center. We have so much news to get to today, including breaking news coming up in just a moment regarding the federal sentencing of Derek Chauvin. But first, let's get to some international news. The embattled Prime Minister Boris Johnson of the UK has resigned.
Yeah, Johnson says the timetable for choosing a new leader will be announced next week. Let's send it over to Ian Lee with the latest from London.
Anyone expecting Boris Johnson to resign in tears would be disappointed. In typical fashion, the 58-year-old Conservative came out swinging.
I'm immensely proud of the achievements of this government. It is clearly now the will of the Parliamentary Conservative Party that there should be a new leader of that party and therefore a new Prime Minister.
The Prime Minister defended his time in office.
Getting us all through the pandemic, delivering the fastest vaccine rollout in Europe, the fastest exit from lockdown, and in the last few months, leading the West in standing up to Putin's aggression in Ukraine.
During those 3 years, Johnson brushed aside scandal after scandal, but the latest controversy had members of his own party sharpening their knives. Several men accused government official Chris Pincher of groping, which Johnson denied knowing when he appointed him to the role. He later admitted he lied, leading to an avalanche of resignations.
Long overdue, I would say. Yeah, he's been struggling for months, telling lies, misleading everybody.
Johnson did express some remorse that he didn't complete everything he set out to do when he swept to power in 2019.
I want you to know how sad I am to be giving up the best job in the world. But them's the breaks.
Johnson says he'll remain in office until a new prime minister is chosen. Ian Lee, CBS News, London.
This just in, Governor Ige signs 5 education bills into law. They include funding to expand access to pre-kindergarten and money for more air conditioning units. Here's some of what the governor had to say just a short time ago.
This bill is the largest investment in public pre-K in the history of the state of Hawaii. $200 million invested in our public schools to create public pre-K facilities. I did want to thank the School Facilities Authority, which was a creation of the legislature to really focus on doing things differently. And I think this is a terrific first assignment and priority for the School Facilities Authority. We do know that building capacity for our early learning program is a high priority of all of us. We had committed prior to the pandemic that we would be working together to add more public pre-K, and House Bill 2000 is our first big investment and the first big opportunity for us to make progress in this area.
We're still breaking down the numbers from our new H&N Civil Beat poll regarding the upcoming election. Steve Uehara talked to Chad Blair about it from Civil Beat this morning on Sunrise.
Drum roll, let's go into the LG race and give us those numbers.
Well, this is a pretty interesting race, too, also wide open. Sylvia Luke, she's at 20%. And then we have Ikaika Anderson at 14. Keith Amamiya is at 10%. And then in fourth place is Sherry Minor McNamara. But the big takeaway is that figure at the bottom on your screen. They're not sure I joke in my story that if not sure were on the ballot, they would be winning this race hands down. But of course, that's not a real person. But it does show that a lot of people simply have not made up their mind. So this race is definitely wide open.
Okay, how about this, though? Is that normal for an LG's race? I mean, I would think the candidates that go into this kind of a race aren't as well known as those that would be going for governor, and so maybe that might be part of it.
You know, I thought the numbers would be a little bit higher. I mean, I remember 4 years ago, Josh Green was in a pretty good field with Jill Takuda and some others. Sure. I seem to recall those numbers being higher, certainly not nearly half the electorate undecided. I think a lot of it is they don't quite know who these figures are. They just haven't been as prominent as, say, a Josh Green was 4 years ago.
Yeah, so a couple more things.
Yep.
You had mentioned that Sylvia Luke has a lead, potentially because of more exposure,
right,
more money being spent. Is that real? Does that really have that huge an impact?
You know, Keona Blanks, my co-author who interviewed a lot of the folks for the survey, did talk to one Sylvia Luke supporter who said, you know, the reason I like Sylvia Luke is because I read about her. She's in the news, she's on the House Finance Committee, heck, she leads it. And I think that is really attractive for people to see that she's an experienced politician and she's the only one currently in office.
Okay, and I keep trying to draw to things that we haven't got data on yet, but how about this? Do you have any indication as to, and they don't get to choose who they run with, but how any of these candidates would mesh with any of the candidates for governor on the Democratic side?
Yeah, it's funny. There was a bill actually this session that said a governor and an LG should be a team. You shouldn't be able to have them run separately. Again, it depends. It's too soon. But again, one of the people that we interviewed said, I'd like to see Vicky Cayetano and Sylvia Luke, two women as the governor and lieutenant governor. That's an interesting matchup there, but that will be one of the big questions going forward.
Only on Hawaii News Now, an Oahu family is asking for help to make sense of a woman's death in Kapolei. A brush fire led authorities to her body last week. Our Dylan Ancheta spoke to her sister, who is now searching for clues.
Police classified the case as an unattended death. Much is unknown about what exactly happened to the 39-year-old woman and how long her body was there.
We're dying to know more. We would really like to know more.
Ray Alvarez is heartbroken over the sudden loss of her sister Chastity.
She was a survivor, so she was in survival mode, and she did what she had to do, you know, for herself. But she was always still happy.
She says Chastity's life was plagued with hardships. As a mother of 3, her children now grown, she dealt with health and mental problems. Her sister said she was in and out of homelessness and recently lived at a shelter.
It's still hard to believe. We can't even believe that this is happening.
Chastity's body was found after a brush fire near Honokaihale in Kapolei last Thursday. What caused her death is unknown to both her family and authorities, but police are still investigating whether foul play was involved. The brush fire burned a small portion here along Farrington Highway, but it wasn't until after the fire was put out that authorities found Alvarez's body in this drainage canal, which has about a 15-foot drop from where I'm standing. Nearby residents were shocked to learn what authorities uncovered.
Many police come to in my house, 3-4 of them, and check the camera and let's see what's going on.
Before the fire, neighbors said they never heard or saw anything out of the ordinary. Police are now hoping anyone with information will come forward.
We're hoping that somebody may have seen her in the area. I mean, is she known to sleep there? Is she known to walk around the area? Who does she normally hang out with? And the people that she hang out with, you know, when is the last time you saw them?
Just a lot of questions. Just a lot of questions. For me, the situation doesn't make sense. The way that the scene is, it doesn't make any sense to me. So we just want some answers, you know. We just want some closure, at least.
The emotion is still very tough for that family to process. Anyone who has any information is asked to call Crime Stoppers at 955-8300 or use the P3 Tips mobile app. You will remain anonymous. Dylan Ancheta, Hawaii News Now.
And this breaking news, already jailed former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin has just learned his federal sentence. We got Ron Allen standing by with those details.
Hi there. Yes, because it was a plea deal in place, the only question here was how much time would Derek Chauvin get. George Floyd's family asked for the maximum amount of time, 25 years. One of his brothers saying that he still relives his brother's execution, as he called it, every day. The defense had asked for a lighter sentence of 20 years, saying that Chauvin has been remorseful and accepted responsibility for his actions. Chauvin did address the George Floyd family briefly, saying he wished them well, but he did not apologize. And although he has accepted responsibility in court documents saying that he knew what he did was wrong. He did not say that in open court today. Chauvin will serve his time in federal prison, not state prison. State prison's notoriously dangerous for former police officers. Chauvin has been serving his time in solitary confinement for his own safety. And now, based on the law in Minnesota and the federal law, he's going to serve these sentences concurrently at the same time. He could be released under supervised release in about 15 years or so, which means he would be about 65, well, in his early 60s, when he would be released under supervised release. So there's that as well. Remember, there are still 3 other officers who were involved in this case. They were all found guilty of violating George Floyd's civil rights. 2 of them still face charges in state court. 1 of them has pleaded guilty. So the fallout from this infamous case continues on and on as George Floyd's family fights for every measure of justice that they can get. Ron Allen, NBC News, New York.
Thanks for that breaking news update, Ron. We do have a story posted to our H&N digital platforms with even more details regarding that case. All right, guys, we've got to switch gears here now here at this noon hour and take you live outside to the Bay Area. Looking nice and clear there, no fog in sight, but it's only 65 degrees there.
Sweater weather.
I know.
I love it.
So cool there. It's compared to our 84 degrees here in Honolulu. Let's see what the other conditions are looking like out there. We got Billy V filling in for our good friend Guy Hoggy. Here he is.
Not much in the way of surf. Surfers, I wish I had better news for you, but there is surf on the horizon. Fairly flat north and west facing shores today, flat to 2. It was flat to 2 yesterday. It's up to 1 to 3 today, and then the east sides are kind of blown out 3 to 5. We've got 2 things that are happening in our oceans that are going to bring us some waves early next week. So there's a storm near Aotearoa, which is going to bring us some wave energy from the south, and from the east side, it's going to be Hurricane Bonnie that's off of the coast of Mexico that is heading towards the west, and that's going to bring us some wave energy as well. Let's take a look at the 7-day forecast. Today we've got easterly winds 15 to 20 miles per hour, passing showers, partly cloudy to mostly cloudy skies depending on where you are. Daytime high is going to be near 87 degrees. The winds will pick up as we get towards Sunday as high pressure gets to the north and in that perfect sweet spot for the trade winds. And then after that we've got moderate winds 15 to 20 miles per hour throughout the rest of the week. Nice stretch of weather, stable. We've got some trade wind moisture, but we need that these days.
Hawaiian Airlines limited time island hopper sale is about to end today. That's according to the airline's website. I checked out availability this morning and there's still plenty of $29 inter-island one-way fares to be found. Travel dates are for the month of August. You got to keep that in mind. Southwest is also offering the same price of $29 for one-way fares. So if you're like me and already booked a flight on Southwest, here's a hack I took advantage of this morning and saved more than $100 with. On Southwest, whether you booked using points or a credit card, you can always cancel your original flight and rebook your flight and get the difference back, at least in credits. There's no change fees on Southwest. Keep in mind, Southwest lets you rebook an unlimited number of times. We've talked about the many reasons that travelers are facing airline delays and cancellations, but what can the government do about it? With more on that, here's CBS travel editor Peter Greenberg.
Well, in order to understand that, you have to go back to the old days of 1978 and the Federal Airline Deregulation Act, which prohibits states from regulating airlines and in many cases prohibits the federal government from doing the same except in areas of safety. Where you do have a ray of hope is with the U.S. Department of Transportation. They can issue some new rules. You may remember the tarmac delay rule, which went into effect a couple of years ago that said if you push back from the gate and you keep the passengers essentially prisoners for more than 3 hours before returning to the gate, you're liable to fines for up to $27,500 per passenger. Did that rule work? You bet it did. And now the DOT is considering a similar rule to force the airlines to justify publishing a schedule that they know they can't support. They have to prove they can support it. And then the second part of that rule, which also would include financial consequences, might be compensation for passengers who are delayed or canceled that has a significant amount of money attached to it. That's what they're considering. They're not doing it yet, but at least they're considering it.
The Department of Education is trying to address a bus driver shortage. Around 85 drivers are needed statewide. So this weekend, they're hosting a hiring event where you can take a bus for a drive. And that's what our Casey Lund got to do this morning.
And I should note, before I take off, I'm being supervised by Grace, our trainer, and Gina, who is a bus driver as well, Gina Robinson with us. But ladies, do I have permission to go?
Yes, you do.
All right, and that's what's unique about what's happening this Saturday, is that folks will be able to actually get behind the wheel of a bus without needing a CDL, just to take it for a test drive, really, to see if it's right for you.
Statewide, we're looking at about 85 drivers, a majority on the Big Island, but a lot on Oahu and Maui and Kauai as well.
Emily Evans also tagged along with us as we got a feel for what becoming a bus driver in Hawaii really takes. She's administrator of student transportation services for the state DOE.
Someone with a lot of patience, but someone who's also looking for maybe a future in the transportation industry, someone who has a logistics kind of mind.
It's an important job with a lot of responsibility.
Well, one, transporting children to and from school safely, and just having to have them in the bus and knowing that they're safe in the bus.
Anthony Valiente has been driving school bus for more than 30 years. He's now director of operations at Ground Transport, Inc., one of Oahu's largest DOE bus contractors. Beyond driving the bus, he knows what it takes to turn this job into a career.
I think, one, when you interview, you're going to have that first impression. Their attitude and the respect, why they want to go drive a school bus. A lot of times people will say, oh, just driving a bus, big rig. But I think the key thing is they have to have the loving, tendering patience with the students. Patience is one important thing, because if you don't have that patience, it's kind of hard to control 72 kids in a bus.
Of course, it requires a special person, but everyone I talked to today says despite any challenges this job might throw their way, it's one of the most rewarding they've ever had.
Favorite group of kids to drive around?
Oh, elementary.
Elementary, I would say so. I would say I'd have to, even though I've never been a school bus driver, I would say that would probably be a safe bet, because teenagers start to think they know everything. Right?
Of course, yes.
If you don't have your commercial driver's license, you'll start out on one of the smaller buses. Then Ground Transportation offers paid training while you work to earn your CDL, so you can drive the larger buses, which come with a pay hike.
We offer all the training, paid training, probably somewhere about 3, maybe 4 weeks before you can actually get your CDL, from the time you start up until the time you get your CDL license. And it depends on the individual person.
Again, the details for Saturday's event is happening at Kapolei High School from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. If you're interested in taking one of these babies for a spin, you got to make sure you have your valid driver's license, you're at least 21 years of age, and you're ready to take a really serious look at this career. We want to send you to hawaiinewsnow.com for all the details. Reporting in Kapolei, I'm Casey Lund. Now back to you.
Casey, as a bus driver? I don't know about that
kids
one.
On a bus?
No,
Man.
wait, I couldn't do it. And mad respect to anyone who does, because it's a hard job.
Yeah, did you ride the bus as a
I
kid?
did. I rode the bus, and it was a rather long bus ride, honestly. It was more than 30 minutes, if I remember. Bus driver's name was Jeannie. Still remember her to this day. Bus 21, same bus. Every year was a small school district. So I definitely have memories of that. But it looks like a good gig if you're up for it.
Of course.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome.
All right, guys, what do you say we check out what the internet is buzzing about today? And we're talking about this superhero. Let me pull up his picture. Batman. Yeah, we love these auction stories. And there's another one that's trending today. This costume from Batman Forever. George Clooney wore it in 1997 for Batman and Robin. It's up for grabs. Its opening bid is $40,000. An official with the auction house says it's the most famous costume ever made. I don't know if I'd go that far.
I don't agree with that at all.
No, but a lot of people make fun of this one, and it's because there's an exaggerated body part on his chest area, and a lot of people say it's way too exaggerated. So even George Clooney makes fun of that, is what I read this morning on CNN. Other movie props up for grabs is including Jim Carrey's cane he used for the Riddler in Batman Forever, which was not my favorite Batman movie at all. That will also be auctioned off. Batman, a lot of connection here to the Aloha State. I don't know if you remember, we were talking about how Adam West got his TV start right here at KGMB back in the day. What's your favorite Batman?
Michael Keaton.
Oh, yeah, of course, right?
Yeah.
And that's my favorite one is Batman Returns
Right.
with Michelle Pfeiffer. We've talked about it
Yes.
before. Love Catwoman, love The Penguin by Danny DeVito.
Such a
That's
good one.
classic.
Mhm.
Classic. What'd you find?
So Rihanna is the youngest woman on Forbes' 2022 list of America's richest self-made women. Now Riri has a net worth of $1.4 billion. She has that makeup line too, remember that?
Oh, yeah.
And she tied for number 21 on the list. Now, at 34 years old, she has the distinction of being the youngest. Kim Kardashian held the title last year at age 41. As for the richest woman on the list, it's businesswoman Diane Hendricks with $12.2 billion. Now, these are self-made women.
Favorite Rihanna song, Take a Bow for Me. It's classic. It's sort of a
Oh,
ballad, but
wow.
I love that song.
Uh-huh.
You have a fave?
We found love in a hopeless place. Love that
Yes.
one.
Yellow
Always.
Diamonds. Such a good dance song. I
is.
never get to the club anymore, but that was a great
Yeah,
one, right?
always a good one.
Yeah.
So it's a little early for Christmas, but the Backstreet Boys can be part of your holiday season this year. So the popular boy band has announced the release date for their first ever Christmas album. A Very Backstreet Christmas will drop October 14th, but fans can pre-order CD and vinyl versions already. So the new album will include 3 original songs, plus classics like Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas, White Christmas, and Silent Night.
Backstreet's back. That's for sure.
Apparently,
Yeah,
yes.
that reminds me of the other boy band Christmas album that I remember.
NSYNC's.
I didn't have that one. I'm older.
Oh, it was
I'm
so
older.
good.
New Kids on the Block Christmas. I had that tape and it was worn out. We played it all the time. It was such a good one. Such a good one.
Yeah.
Good to see they're still at work.
Yeah, why not?
Right. Let's get to today's good news now. It involves a scream and a chipmunk. And Jeannie Mose has that story.
A chipmunk, a dog, and a screamer combined to make a video go viral.
I know I'm loud. I know I'm obnoxious, I'm really embarrassed because my neighbors almost called the cops. They thought there was a murder being committed.
But it was a rescue being committed when a chipmunk got trapped between the screen and the glass at Ashley Karen's Massachusetts home.
Listen, let's make a deal, baby. I'm gonna safely get you out. I'm gonna open this, and you just scurry right out there back to your happy, whimsical life.
Negotiating with a chipmunk earned Ashley the whimsical nickname Chipmunk Whisperer. She warned her kids in the other room.
Okay, just stay in there. Okay, if I scream, everything is fine. Oh, he's just coming down with it. Oh, maybe that's better. Oh, no. Okay. You were right the first time. Nope. That way. No. No, boss! No! Boss!
Ashley was screaming bloody murder, but
the chipmunk lived.
It turns out Ashley's Alaskan Malamute named Boss carried the chipmunk to the balcony as Ashley kept yelling, "Drop it!"
I think he put 2 and 2 together with my screams and was like, maybe I should just let this little guy go.
Aside from the screaming, everyone's favorite part was this line.
Okay, if I scream, everything is fine. Somebody said, I want that as a shirt.
Are you going to do it?
I've been lying.
But in the end, she did scream, and it was okay. Though maybe not music to the ears of this chipmunk. No! Jeannie Mose, CNN, New York.
And that's going to do it for This Is Now.